Well, in the news, Egyptians are going to the polls for the start of a historic series of elections, but the Muslim Brotherhood and its allies will likely win. And that may be bad news for the Christians who live in Egypt.
Gary Lane has this look at the first election since the downfall of Hosni Mubarak and why Islamist groups may come out ahead.
The protesters who continue to gather in Cairo and other Egyptian cities want civilian control of the country and a shorter timeline for next year's presidential election. Earlier this month, police clashed with the demonstrators, many of them Islamists, when they tried to clear them from Tahrir Square. Egyptians say they want more control over their daily lives. This man says he wants Egypt to move on, whether it's run by Islamist Sharia law or by a civilian party. Egyptians say little has changed for them since the revolution that ousted President Hosni Mubarak last winter. The economy has gotten worse, and many people are struggling just to pay their bills. The Hudson Institute's Samuel Tadros places the blame on Egypt's de facto leader, Mohammed Tantawi, and the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces.
In a sense, there was never a Mubarak regime. It is the same military dictatorship that has been ruling Egypt since 1952 with its control of the Egyptian economy. These guys are basically clueless at how to run the country on a daily basis.
Nor do they really want to run it. Tadros says the army leadership wants to rule the country but not govern it. Day-to-day matters, bread and butter issues, will be left to whichever party gains the most seats in the parliamentary elections. So far, because secular parties are disorganized and weak, it looks like the better organized, stronger Muslim Brotherhood and its Freedom and Justice Party may win a plurality of votes. Electoral districts are drawn to favor the countryside, where people are poor and less educated, and that's where the Muslim Brotherhood has its greatest influence. Some Egyptians say the Brotherhood and other Islamists have tried to gain votes by providing food aid to the poor in these areas just days before the election. And some secularist candidates say there's been corruption in the election process. They've charged that election officials have offered to provide them with fraudulent election ballots in exchange for money. Several pre-election polls suggest the Brotherhood's Freedom and Justice Party will likely receive at least 35% of the vote. Each of the secular parties are polling between 2 and 5%. And that may not bode well for Egypt's Christians. They're about 10% of the population, and many fear attacks against them may increase if the Brotherhood and its allies control the government.
Egypt might turn out to be democratic, who knows, but might. It might turn out to be more economically prospered, but it definitely will not turn out to be more hospitable to its Christians.
So, facing increased persecution and no say in their future, another exodus from the land of the pharaohs may occur. Only this time it may be the Christians, not the Hebrews, fleeing Egypt, a country that has been home to Christianity for nearly 2,000 years. Gary Lane, CBN News.
You got to watch it, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not being bigoted to say that the Muslim Brotherhood has announced its goals. They want to reestablish the caliphate. They want to bring in Sharia law. That's what they say, and they're winning. So, you know, you say, well, let's have democratic elections. Well, democratic elections in a Muslim state means that those people win and take control, just like Hamas did on the West Bank. Well, Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?